What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm gonna be starting out a new series called 5-minute Friday tutorials, where I'm gonna be making a new video every Friday for 5 minutes, giving you guys different tips and tricks, and also making new tutorials on my editing style, how I edit some photos, and help you guys out if you're starting out new editing photos or taking photos. So I'm gonna be going through all of that every week. Every Friday I'm gonna be uploading a new video. So today's video is going to be mainly about how to change a color of a car, of a dress, or anything in Photoshop. I'm gonna go ahead and use Adobe Photoshop as my main program to do that kind of techniques. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to do that in Photoshop easily and faster. So here we are back in Photoshop. So I opened up this image of my car in Adobe Photoshop, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to change the color of this car, of my car, to any color you want. And you can use this method to almost anything, to change the color on a dress, change the color on anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys quickly how to do it. So what you want to do is basically open up any image in Photoshop that you're trying to change the color to, and the first thing you want to do is basically make a duplicate layer of the background layer. So we basically grab the background layer, go ahead down below and leave the mouse, unclick the mouse on the new layer. It's going to go ahead and make a new layer. Another easier way to do is basically hit Command J on your keyboard. It's going to automatically make a new layer, and then you can go ahead and unhide the background layer because we don't need that. We're gonna go ahead and work on the new layer that we just made. And the way I do it is basically I use the it's called the magnetic lasso tool. It basically automatically selects the car with the pixel. If there's a big difference between two pixels color, it's gonna go ahead and select the pixel that I wanna select. So what you want to basically do is, if you go ahead and go to the left hand side toolbar, if you hold on to the third tool from the top and go down to magnetic lasso, and now if you go ahead and start a point, so basically if I start a point on the hood, and I can basically drag the arrow to the edge of the car, and it's gonna go ahead and automatically try to select just the car based on the colors of the different pixels. And sometimes 90% of the time this is the tool that I most of the time use, just because I can quickly go around and go ahead and select the whole car. And as you can see, it's doing a really good job for selecting the car. So I'm gonna go ahead and go around the whole car and select it, and yeah, so catch you guys in a little bit. And another tip for you guys is basically go ahead and select only the object in the image that you want to change the color. You don't want to go ahead and select the whole object, or for example for me, I don't want to go ahead and select the whole car with the wheels, with the trims and all of that, because it's gonna go ahead and change the color to everything. So only select the color or the part of the object that you want to change the color. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this really quick and show you guys another thing. And then at the end, when you guys get close to the first point where you guys started from, you're gonna go ahead and see a 0 at the corner of the tool. So you're gonna go ahead and click on it, and now only wherever you see the marching ants, that's the only part selected on the car. And if I go ahead and change the color, it's gonna basically change the color of that part. But in this I don't want the windows or the trim or the mirror to change the color. I only want the paint of the car to change color. And so the way to deselect or is basically if you hold down option on your keyboard, you'll see a minus sign on your on the tool. And what this does is basically if I go ahead and click on the window trim and go around again, just around the windows, and if I finish where I started from, it's gonna go ahead and unselect that selection from the whole thing. So it's basically gonna be just changing the color of the car, not the window. So I'm basically going ahead and unselected just the window. And what you want to do is basically go around, go ahead and select anything that you don't want the color to change. So I'm also gonna go ahead and do the same thing with the vent. In the part of the image that you want to change the color, you want to go ahead and hit Command J. Whatever you have selected, it basically made a new layer with that selection into the new layer. So if I go ahead and go to my layers panel on the right hand side and unhide the layer 1 that we made at the beginning of the tutorial, you will see only the parts where I want to basically do is unhide the layer 1, and you only want to select just the car. And if you go over the whole car, it's going to automatically select everything. And here is the part where you can change the color. While having the car selected, if you go above the layer panels, you'll see libraries or an adjustment panel. And if you just hover over all the tools, you'll see brightness, levels, curves, exposure, vibrance, and all of that. The tool that you want is called hue/saturation. So if you click on it, it's gonna bring out this tool. So what this basically doing is anything that I apply or change settings in this tool is going to go ahead and apply that to just the paint or just the layer 2 settings. So to change the color, to keep the shadows and the highlights and the dark part of the car, you want to go ahead and select colorize. This is gonna go ahead and Photoshop is gonna do its best to still maintain those shadows, those highlight in the paint to match its best. So after you hit colorize, now you see 3 tools. The first one is hue. This is where you can change the color to anything that you want. Next one is saturation. This is going to control how bright or how contrasty you want the color to be, less contrasty or less color, and this is more bright. So this is the second tool, controls that. What the third tool controls is how bright or how dark you want that color to be. So you want to go in an order. So you want to go ahead and pick the color, the hue first, then the saturation, and then the lightness. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick the baby blue color. I'm gonna go ahead and do the saturation a little bit lighter, a little bit more color into it. Go ahead and bring a little bit more like baby blue color, and yeah, so this is and if I go ahead and unhide the layer 1 that we initially made at the beginning of the tutorial, you'll see that the color is only changing on the layer where we selected the paint and made a new layer after that. So from here you can go ahead and save the file as a PSD. So if you in the future, if you think about changing the color to something else, go ahead and open up this PSD file, and if you go ahead and double click on the hue and saturation tool right next to the layer, it's going to bring out the same tool. From here you can same thing, change the color, go ahead and make any changes you want, and then yeah. So hopefully you guys got a better idea on how to change the color of your car or anything. Again, this is my new series that I'm starting. It's called 5-Minute Friday Tutorials. It's gonna be a quick video for you guys to just sit and enjoy, giving you guys different tips and tricks on different programs, Adobe Lightroom, Adobe Photoshop that I use, and gives you guys the better idea of my editing style that I personally use for my Instagram page or for my professional photography. And yeah, so hopefully you guys like this.